Important possession here as we head into the last 2 minutes in regulation. Mosqueda. Now it's with Capobres. Capobres just...
Tough shot.
That was just out of control.
You got to credit the defense. You know, there was no space on that right side. Everything on the left. That was the only thing that was given by the Huskers that moment for Alvin Capobres.
You know, as impressive as Zamboanga has been here this season, Coach Mike, they turned a lot of heads when they almost beat Nueva Ecija in Palayan City. But when you look at their record, they've only beaten one team in the top of the South, and that was Batangas. They all lost to Rizal, Jensan, Basilan, Binyan, Mindoro. And unless they make a comeback here, this looks like another loss against the Quezon Huskers naman.
And if you look at, again, I talked about this top of the coverage. Their first 15 games, 13-2. Could have been a 15-0 if not for the 2-point loss against Imus and another 2-point loss against Mindoro. Now, after they won against Batangas by 5, and that was their 15th game, they were taking on Nueva Ecija, Bataan, Pasay, and then Pasay. Imagine if they won against Nueva Ecija. That would have been 17-0, and you beat the top team in the North. And so this would have been a good confidence boost.
Kung free throw na ito, din sa ating Extreme Appliances, ang subok at kompletong appliance brand ng Pilipinas.
This would have been a good confidence boost heading into the more difficult games later on. But unfortunately, it didn't pan out that way for the Zamboanga SIKAT. Kaya nga sinasabi ko, kung ikaw man ang nasa ilalim at alam mong parating pababa papuntang play nitong Zamboanga, you know you gotta gear up. Because this is a team that actually belonged to the top, in the top-ranked teams early this season, and you cannot take them lightly.
And that question remains for them. When the game slows down and they're forced into a half-court game, how will they execute? Especially going up against the top defensive teams like Quezon, who really, especially from the second quarter onwards, because we saw Zamboanga get off to a hot start behind those barrage of threes. They had 6 in the first quarter. But ever since Quezon clamped down on the defensive end, played those passing lanes, forced a lot of live turnovers, Zamboanga just really had a hard time recovering from here on out.
Agree. At saka again, I'm going to go back to how I observe most of the teams here this season. If you're a three-point shot-making team on the offensive end, you shoot below 32% or 33% from three, you got to make your free throws. Because if you don't, a good probability you're going to lose games. And why do I say that? They get the volume free throws because if you make your threes, it's gonna generate closeout. So, mas open yung atake sa loob. Mas prone ka sa foul.
And for Quezon, Coach Mike, you know, the theme for them this season, whether it's wins or losses, you never feel that they are out of it.
Agreed.
Even if they're down by, like against Nueva Ecija, they were down by 18.
Agree.
And yet, because of the way they stuck to the game plan, the way they still continue to play within their game, they were able to just weather the storm and found a way to hang around, and in the end stole that one away from the Rice Vanguards. And in similar fashion as well against San Juan, wherein they gave up a lot of free throws, they foul a lot. That's probably one thing that they need to work on. But man, this Quezon team could be a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs.
And much as coaches would always say we play with who we have, you can't just turn your heads on the unavailability of guys like Roy Sumang, Ichi Altamirano, Carl Brian Cruz, and amongst the other players who normally would have a good partnership with Chino Mosqueda. But then again, in this game, the Huskers showed that they play both ends of the floor with a lot of consistency they will win games.
Quezon Huskers looking as sharp as ever, cruise to their 9th straight victory at the expense of the Zamboanga SIKAT Families brand Sardines.